Chapter 3. Settling the Northern Colonies. The Protestant Reformation was started in 1517 with the ideas of Martin Luther. John Calvin, working in Geneva, Switzerland, expanded upon those ideas and in 1536 produced a document called the Institutes of the Christian Religion. His ideas were collectively known as Calvinism and had a great influence on people living in England. Some, calling themselves Puritans, believed that the faith introduced to England by Henry VIII had to be purified, had to be purged of all Catholic elements. A tiny group of Puritans called Separatists decided life was not good in Henry's England and they needed to get out. They went to Holland first, but they feared that their children were not becoming religious, they were becoming Dutchified. They applied for passage for the New World and had legal permission to create a settlement called the Plymouth Bay in 1620. Under the leadership of Captain Miles Standish, they boarded the Mayflower and came to the New World. Before disembarking from the ship, they agreed upon a set of ideas on how their colony would be governed. This is known as the Mayflower Compact. It stands as the first attempt at governing in America. Leadership was provided to the Pilgrims who came here by William Bradford. He was elected 30 times as governor of the Plymouth Bay Colony. The first Thanksgiving was celebrated in 1621. The Wampanoag tribe, led by Massasoit, had signed a treaty with the Pilgrims and extended help to them. They celebrated their good relationship in the fall of that year. Another colony that was founded out of a need or a necessity for religious shelter was the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Anti-Puritan persecution during the 1620s forced many Puritans to believe they needed to find refuge in a different place. The Great Migration is a reference to thousands upon thousands of Puritans leaving England either for the New World or maybe even in larger numbers to the West Indies. The Bay Colony's first leader was John Winthrop. He served as governor for 19 years. Not everyone bought into the strict religious atmosphere in Massachusetts. One person, Anne Hutchinson, an antinomianist, complained and challenged Puritan authority. She was banished from the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Another character that was banished for his beliefs was a popular minister named Roger Williams. He was arrested, he was put on trial, and then he was saved by Indians who took him through the wilderness, and he would later be the founder of Rhode Island. Yet another colony that was founded by people who were unhappy with the strict atmosphere in Massachusetts was the Connecticut colony. The Reverend Thomas Hooker led his minions, and they established Hartford. They believed that they had to exist by a set of rules known as the Fundamental Orders. That was the way they wanted their government to run in Connecticut. Hostilities broke out many times between these new Pilgrims and the natives that they encountered. In 1637, the Narragansett Indians and the Pequots were attacked and basically decimated by the colonists. In 1675, Metacom, the son of Massasoit, tried to lead a series of counterattacks and raids against the colonists, these invaders, but that war soon ended. Nervousness about the wilderness, the frontier, and the natives living there led to the formation of something called the New England Federation. 4 colonies banded together, the Bay Colony of Massachusetts and the Plymouth Colony, and 2 Connecticut colonies. The idea was unity for mutual defense. Something a little bit different came along in the form of the Dominion of New England in 1686. A character named Sir Edmund Andros, a military man, established a headquarters and decided that he would lead a religious and military sort of dictatorship over a region. This didn't last very long because the crown that supported him was thrown out in England in the Glorious Revolution of 1689. You can't fully appreciate the cultural richness of the northern colonies unless you also take into account the influence of the Dutch and the Swedish. Under the leadership of Peter Stuyvesant, Swedes made impressive gains in creating a colony that ran fairly well and brought a lot of culturally interesting things to this part of the world. The Dutch took over the Swedes' holdings in a bloodless takeover. Eventually, the much stronger British forced the Dutch out of New Amsterdam, or what we now know as New York. This colony under the control of the British would become known as New York. Finally, a different kind of religious haven was Pennsylvania. It was a colony founded by William Penn. He was of the Quaker faith, and he obtained a large tract of land as the result of a debt that was owed to him by the British Crown. In 1681, he secured a grant for a very large tract of land we now know as Pennsylvania.